Welcome to Russian Made Easy with Mark Thompson. Mark has been teaching students from all over the world to quickly and easily speak Russian. And now, here's Mark.
Привет, and welcome to episode 24 of Russian Made Easy. Today we'll be beefing up on our greetings and small talk, so let's first start by repeating the word I opened this podcast with.
Привет.
One more time.
Привет.
So what does it mean? Well, when you see someone you know, you greet them with
Привет.
The key here is someone you know. You cannot use this word to a stranger because by definition, it's a greeting used with people you already know. If you say it to a total stranger, they will immediately wonder, he knows me? When did I ever meet this person? Notice how I'm not saying what all those other courses and websites tell you, which is
Привет.
is the Russian word for hi. Привет is simply a friendly greeting to people you know. And this leads me to an email I got recently from a Russian Accelerator member. She asks, is it okay to use привет with people you speak formally with? That's a great question. And yes, it's fine. I speak formally, on вы, with my wife's parents, but I'll greet them with привет. To be honest, I mix it up. I'll greet her father with здравствуйте, but her mom with привет. Now let's say your friend Tanya has just arrived. Listen to what she says after greeting me.
Привет, Марк. Как дела?
We know the word
Как?
we worked with it in the last episode. Remember asking your friend, how are your pancakes?
Как твои блины?
So how would you translate?
Как дела?
Well, in English we say, hi Mark, how are things? Hopefully you know by now what I'm going to tell you. The word dela does not mean things, as in, I bought these things yesterday, or whose things are these? That's just how it translates in this context. Because depending on context, it might translate as business or things to do and so on. Anyway, greet your friend Paulina by saying, hi Paulina, how are things?
Привет, Полина. Как дела?
So how should we respond? Let's come back to that question in a moment after reviewing the material from recent podcasts. Imagine your friend's grandmother has brought over some of her homemade pig fat for you to enjoy. You love it, so tell her, your pig fat is very tasty.
Ваше сало очень вкусное.
Imagine your friend brews his own beer. Tell him, I really like your beer. Literally, to me, very pleasing, your beer.
Мне очень нравится твое пиво.
Tell Grandma, your cat is very pretty.
Ваша кошка очень красивая.
Imagine this scenario. Both your friend and her grandmother each have a cat they want you to take. Your friend's cat is mean and hisses at you, whereas Grandma's cat purrs and is nice. So tell your friend, I don't want your cat.
Я не хочу твою кошку.
Then tell Grandma, I want yours.
Я хочу вашу.
Now why do we say vashu here with an u? Is it to rhyme with the word хочу? No, that's just a coincidence. Instead, it's rhyming with the word koshku, which, though we didn't actually say it, is nevertheless understood. We know that I'm saying, I want your cat. Let's try a similar setup. Pretend you're in a Russian bazaar. There's a kid selling a pen and an old man selling one. The kid's pen costs 5 cents and writes great. The old man's pen costs $10 and has no ink. So tell the old man, I don't want your pen.
Я не хочу вашу ручку.
Tell the kid, I want yours.
Я хочу твою.
If you got these right, and more importantly, if you understand the patterns here, you're doing awesome. All right, let's get back to our greetings. Greet your friend Tolik and ask him, how are things?
Привет, Толик. Как дела?
Now listen to his response.
Нормально. А у тебя?
Let's take just that first word.
Нормально.
How would you translate it? Imagine you've just come home from an uneventful trip and someone asks you, how was it? You tell them,
Нормально.
or this example. The lady at the deli counter is putting some salad into a container for you. She looks at you, wondering if she put enough in. Tell her, нормально, and reach for the container. In that first situation, when we were responding to that question of, how was your trip? We might have said, fine. In that second example, when the deli lady wants to know if that's enough salad, we might have said, that's good. In Russian, they say,
Нормально.
which to me is essentially a cognate. It's their version of normal.
Нормально.
But again, it's used to mean fine or good or okay and so on. Get used to saying this word a lot. Нормально.
In Russia, when a potential landlord shows you her apartment, she might ask you simply, well, how? Meaning, well, how is it to you?
Ну как?
So with our one new word, tell her, it's fine.
Нормально.
And when someone asks you, how are things?
Как дела?
Tell them, fine. Нормально. And then ask, and at you?
А у тебя?
Or try this version. Ask, and how are things at you?
А как у тебя дела?
This topic of greetings is also the subject of today's tip.
And now, here's your tip of the day from Russian Made Easy.
Pretend you're spending time with your Russian friend Andrei. A friend of his shows up and says to him,
Приветик, Андрюшка. Как дела?
and you're thinking, Privetik? I thought it was just Privyet. And Andrushka? I thought his name was just Andrei or Andrei. What's going on? Well, what's going on is that Russians love to make certain words sound cute. They do this by, what else, changing the endings. The fancy linguistics term for this is diminutives, which is a good name for it. Think of the word diminish in English, which means to make smaller, right? So it's becoming smaller and cuter. Anyway, the two main ways that Russians will make a word sound cute is by adding either ik or ka. So,
Привет.
becomes,
Приветик.
and the name
Андрей.
becomes.
Андрюшка.
If Grandma has served you just a tiny bowl of salad, in her mind a small salad, she might ask you, "How's your little salad?"
Как твой салатик?
From salat, we get salatik.
Салат? Салатик.
It sounds cute, doesn't it? If she served you little pancakes, she might ask, "How are your little pancakes?"
Как твои блинчики?
Notice the plural with that E. Blin is the word for pancakes, cheek makes it small, and that E at the end makes it plural. Blinchiki.
Как твои блинчики?
You don't need to learn these really. You'll pick them up once you're hanging out with native speakers. I just wanted to introduce you to them so it doesn't throw you off when you hear these diminutive forms. Returning to our greetings, again greet your friend Anton and ask, "How are things?"
Привет, Антон. Как дела?
Listen to Anton's response.
Все хорошо. А у тебя как?
We know the word,
Хорошо.
but that word
Все.
is new to this podcast. Imagine you're packing a car for a long trip. You look around, seeing if any other bags need to go in the car. You don't see anything, so you ask your friend just to be sure.
Все?
He says,
Да, это все.
and he closes the trunk. In English, we'd say, "Is that everything?" And in Russian, they can just say,
Все?
"Всё?" If I were to spell that out using English letters, I would spell it with an F, an S, a Y, and an O. Всё. Listen to the native speaker.
Все?
So depending on the phrase,
Все.
translates as either everything or all. So say, "Everything's good."
Все хорошо.
But again, that word
Все?
is used in a lot of situations. For example, after you've given your order to the waitress, she'll make sure that that's everything you want by saying, "Everything, yes?"
Все, да?
Tell her, "Yes, that's all. Thanks."
Да, это все. Спасибо.
Now let's practice a typical encounter with some friends. You see a group of Russians you know, so let's tell them, "Hello."
Здравствуйте.
One of them says, "Hi, Taylor, how are things?"
Привет, Тейлор. Как дела?
Say, "Fine."
Нормально.
And ask, "And with you?"
А у тебя?
He says, "All good."
Все хорошо.
He notices your friend and asks, "Who is this?"
Кто это?
Say, "This is my friend Vika."
Это моя подруга Вика.
He then says,
Мы сейчас идем в парк. Хотите с нами?
We haven't learned everything he said, but we did catch v park, which means to the park. Plus we heard хотите, which means do you guys want? So he's probably saying that they're going to the park and do you guys want to come with us? So in 2 words say, okay, let's go.
Хорошо. Пошли.
So for homework, practice saying both sides of this greeting scenario. Use different names, introduce different people, and say something about the people and so on. Really try to use a lot of your vocabulary, especially the stuff from the early podcasts. Remember, we want to keep circulating older stuff with newer stuff. And be sure to visit Russian Made Easy for all the downloads today, and I'll see you next time.
This has been another episode of Russian Made Easy with Mark Thompson. For more time-saving tips and shortcuts for learning Russian, head over to RussianMadeEasy.com.